Hi guys, Sifu Mark here. I want to ask you to please hit that thumbs up button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. In today's chat, we speak with the president and head instructor of the Chi Wu Men Athletic Association located in San Francisco, California. He has been in the martial arts world for over 20 years and continues to spread them to keep those traditions alive. Having studied numerous styles of Kung Fu, he offers his students a well rounded martial education in the ranges of grappling, striking, and throwing. Please welcome Sifu Ronald Mesia. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. How about you, Sifu? Thank you very much for the invitation.
I'm doing quite all right, my sir, and it is a great honor to actually speak with you. I do have to thank you for accepting my invitation on to the podcast. So I don't want to waste any of your time. Let's go straight into the interview. How did you start martial arts?
I started back between 2005 and 2006 in Brazil. So like Sifu Ronald, I spoke the other day, his parents got divorced and then he moved to live with his father. So my parents got divorced and I went to live with my mother. So I was born in Miami and I was raised in São Paulo, Brazil. And I loved activity since I was a kid. Loved to exercise, do different things. I played for the junior São Paulo junior soccer team for quite a 1 year. And unfortunately, for some financial situations, my mom took me out of the team, and I've always wanted to practice martial arts. My biggest inspiration was, of course, Bruce Lee and some video games. I used to love playing Street Fighter. My favorite character was always Fei Long. Mortal Kombat was Liu Kang. Every time when I saw those characters, like, that's Bruce Lee right there from the movie. So that's Bruce Lee with long hair. That's Bruce Lee from the movie. And I've always wanted to practice, but my mom, first she said, this is violent. I don't want you to get into the martial arts world. And second, because the financial situation were very humble and poor and she couldn't afford. One day when I turned 13 years old, I was going to school and then I passed in front of a Cholifa school. And I was like, let me just check it out. And what is this? I didn't know what was Kung Fu, Karate, Jiu-Jitsu. But I saw Cholifa, I spoke with the instructor, got the application. He explained to me, by the day they were having a Sanda session. And he explained to me a little bit how it works. I got home after school, was like, Mom, I really want to do this. Do you think you can pay for me? She was like, unfortunately, I don't have the resources, but yeah, I will probably gonna have to work a few months, save some money for you to study for a month, and it's not gonna worth it. I went, I was like, okay, so that's fine, I understand. Went to school next day, and then I was talking to a couple friends of mine. We've been friends since first grade, over 25 years maybe, friendship over more, Chris and Guy, and I was like, oh man, I'm so upset because I want to practice Kung Fu. And they were like, we practice Kung Fu. Like, oh, but where? How much do you guys pay? Can you guys teach me? They're like, oh no, we practice in a recreation center. You just have to pay the application fee the first month. And of course the belt or the sash exams and the uniform. I was like, oh, hey, that's nice. Like, I wanna go check it out. And then after school, I went to check, and then I just fell in love for Kung Fu. I was addicted. I was practicing. I remember we had sections every Wednesday, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 7:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. I was getting home, have dinner, and then start practicing, keep practicing until 12 noon. But my mom, she was always very strict. She was like, the first after school you get, you're out. I'm like, yes, Mom. So I was always dedicating. So I started under the style of Xiu Men with my Sifu. His Chinese name is Liu Shanhu, which is Edvalson Ferreira in Portuguese. A couple of years later, so he offered me to start Sanda. I was like, Sifu, I already, I'm learning Kung Fu, so why do I need Sanda? It was like, it's a good opportunity. I was like, okay, so he offered, so let's give it a try. I also fell in love for Sanda, ended up getting my certificate on my graduation in black belt with the Brazilian Sanda Wushu Federation as well, third degree black belt. Years later, so I came to America 2011, and my Sifu taught me, you're going there, but doesn't matter if you continue practicing or not. But one thing I'm gonna teach you: do not ever forget who you are and where you came from. And those words is still in my heart till nowadays, because he was a very important person in my life, and he was present in the most important moments. Very gentleman guy, very humble, and we always talk. We still keep connections to being, as you say, over 20 years, and came to America, kept practicing. And I always had a dream of practicing some other styles. I was like searching online. Then I saw, I lived in Boston, 2013. I started Wing Chun. I was like, my dream is to practice under Sifu Didier Bedard. That's my biggest dream. I used to see his videos when I was in Brazil, but for someone who came from a very difficult financial situation, how are you going to go to Paris to practice Wing Chun? And years later, saw Sifu Ronald Mesia and in his website, social media. I was like, I really want to practice Jeet Kune Do under this guy. And like, the same thing, like living per paycheck is really hard, especially living by yourself in the United States. But little by little was walking my way up when I came back to Florida. So I got a better job. Then I decided to start at Tai Chi, contacted Sifu Rafael Rivero, which is a student under Chalan and Zanzibar. He is a Sifu, he does Shaolin, Kung Fu, Wokan. He's located in Hollywood, South Florida. So I started practicing under him. Tai Chi Chuan, eventually 2021 became certified instructor under him as well. Great guy, very respectful Sifu. And one day I went to practice Tai Chi, and I saw that he had a gentleman teaching Wing Chun over there. And then I was like, okay, let me give it a try. After the conversation, we decided to talk a little bit. And then I was ask him like, where are you from? I saw that he had a very thick accent. And he told me, yeah, I'm from France, from Paris. So I was like, wait a minute. Do you know Sifu Didier Bedard? He's like, yeah, he's my Sifu. I was like, no way. You gotta teach me his Wing Chun. Like, okay, so I will teach you. Then I started practicing under him. Years later, we brought Sifu Bedard to America. It was like a dream come true, because becoming his student and practicing under him, but years later becoming his representative in the United States. It's such an honor. We tried to bring him in 2021 again, but unfortunately, because of the pandemic, we had to postpone it. We postponed it 3 times, the workshop, and then eventually had to cancel. This year, I'm planning to go visit him again, and it's been an honor to how things have been redirected to the right path. So last year, I had the opportunity to travel to Texas and participate, and also become a student of Sifu Ronald Mesia of Jeet Kune Do. And that's been my some of my experiences in martial arts. I did also practice Shuai Jiao. I remember 2018, I went to a tournament, Lost Legacy Kung Fu tournament in Coral Springs, South Florida, and then I met. If I'm not mistaken, Sifu Carlos. He gave is a Shuai Jiao school in Boca Raton. The Sifu, he also was here in the channel, and I was like, well, that's really cool. Like, I thought was just throwing, but like I felt like it was a good experience. I enjoyed doing. Then I met this instructor. He was teaching me in the park, but he was always traveling. Then he moved to North Carolina. I went to Brazil 2020 something, 21, 22. Then I met Sifu Diego de Souza, which is a student of Roger So. Roger So was a student of Shantushan, the legend of the Baoding legend. And I became his student, his representative. This year I'm testing for black belt with him as well in Shuai Jiao. I'm meeting with him. And lately, I would say the last style was the Bak Fu Pai, which I've been friends with this gentleman in Australia, Sifu Dane, since 2016. We've been friends, always talking, I always seeing his Haka Kung Fu. Like, there's a little similarity between his style and my style, because my style came between the mix between the 5 family styles and the Haka Kung Fu. And then we have some movements, but I would say like very short movements. And then one day I was like, Sifu, can you teach me this form? And he was like, actually, I'm going to teach you the whole system. If you want to learn just the form, I'm not going to teach you just the form. To be respectful, like, oh, let's rock, let's do it. I want it. And then Bak Fu Pai was I would say, my last passion into the martial art world. And it's interesting how the Chinese martial arts, one connect each other. Like, you cannot practice Sanda if you don't have a little bit of background on Shuai Jiao. You cannot practice traditional Kung Fu if you don't understand the throws, because many of the movements is not just strike. I would say maybe 40% to 60% of the styles movements are throws. And it's fascinating how one style connect to each other. It's not like something completely different. Like, even though we still see some into UFC, into MMA, some Kung Fu little peak movements in there, but one thing is to study Muay Thai and maybe Krav Maga and Aikido, which I would say those, with my little understanding, I would say it's very different. But into martial arts, Chinese martial arts, they all connect. I would say that we are a Kung Fu family. We are only one family, and we should never be segregating or be talking about different style, different systems, or different perspective when it comes about ego and self-ego, or trying to preach what is the gospel true, like Bruce Lee used to say. It's beautiful to see that connection. It's also beautiful to see, ever since I moved to the United States, how the Kung Fu family are so warm. Everybody's so welcome. I've been invited to so many tournaments, visiting so many schools. It's been a very good experience being into martial arts, and I'm very glad to be, participating on this show and this channel. I've been a very big fan of yours, watching all the podcasts. So many people with high quality Kung Fu levels. I've been watching. Sometimes I open my notepad and just start writing because, as I was saying, like Sifu Ronald, he is a Hong Kong encyclopedia. He knows everything, things that are. I like to read. I like to, know about different styles and search about the history, the Chinese history and the Chinese martial arts history fascinate me. And he was explaining so many things that it never crossed my mind. I was like, wow, so this is because of that, and because of that. I would say this show is like a Kung Fu school. Doesn't matter which style you will practice, you still can come here and watch and still learn a lot. Of course, if you empty your cup, if you're humble enough, and I'm very glad to be in this show today. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and sorry for the huge introduction.
Hey, no problem for that introduction. Trust me, it's great. Very welcome, very welcome. And thank you very much for that comment there, sir. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. This show being called a Kung Fu School, yes, or being on par of being a Kung Fu school, because one can learn. To that sentiment, I do have to agree, because I've had the pleasure of speaking with so many different teachers that I have learned so much myself. Right, so in that respect, I agree with you completely, 100%. Now, going back to this interview about you, sir. You have a very extensive catalog of Kung Fu styles there, sir. My intro just did not give you any justice to all of that, right? And it's funny how, I will agree with something else that you said, that the Kung Fu world is very small, right? And the connections are there, right? Because of it being small. I think that's so awesome that Sifu Dane in Australia is yours.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's cool. Shout out to Sifu Dane. Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a great gentleman, a very good reputation, and such a lovely guy. Very respectful. Doesn't matter which system you come from. He's like such a humble guy. Yeah. Not because he's my Sifu, but before we were very good friends since 2016. But yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So you're into Bak Fu Pai as well, the white tie.
Yes.
All right. So let's go back. Let's get into your second question. I would really like to know, because I'm not too versed with this style. What is Chi Wu Men Kung Fu?
Yes, Xiumen is a very small style. When it comes about, it's not big, huge like Chulify, Hongqiong that you see everywhere. Northern Shaolin, Luhan Shaolin, Winchan, that every corner or every state, I would say maybe there's a school right there. Starting a little bit, just giving a very brief explanation of the history of the style. There was a legend of 5 intercessors monks in the Qin dynasty. The first was Zhenman Ho. He was He was a monk, and one day walking through a village, he saw a dog fighting against a cat. So he saw the movement very similar to crane against the snake, and then he started studying the movement. He was like, okay, so then he developed what would he call back the days was Mao. There's two styles of cat style according to the researches that I've made. There's the traditional style, which is the one that I've been practicing. There's the non-traditional that was developed for another person later, recently on the 1980s. So Zhenman Hao, before moving from Fujian to Hubei, according to the legend, he also taught Kung Hei Kung. Not sure if he kept internally or if he spread out, but when he moved to Hubei, he taught a farmer called Liu Zihua, and he developed the system, continued practicing this system in Hubei into it became a family style, so it was not spread to anybody else. Where years later, we found that there was spread to two other masters. One was called Yunheng Git, which is a master of his main style was the big cotton palm, the Daiming Jin, and the other one is called Shansam Gap. I have to read this because it's a very weird name. The name of the style was Yin Jiao Tong Long Bo Yin Xin. So it would be the eagle claw ment step and swallow body. And the style was kept there. Years later, 1920, there was a gentleman called Li Wenhang. He was a student of Hong Qun. He studied under So Hak Fu and Wang Feihong. He moved to Hong Kong, and in reference to Wang Feihong, he started studying under Lam Sai Wing. Then he had a trip to Hubei, and then he met these two gentlemen, Shansam Gap and Yunheng Git. And then they taught him the cat style, the Shiwu style that was kept into their family when he moved back to Hong Kong back in 1940s and 1960s. So he started dedicating himself for Chinese medicine and decided to keep the style only internal. So he taught two people, Peng Hao, which moved to Brazil, and another person. And then this Peng Hao taught my grandmaster, who taught my Sifu, and then it was passed down to myself. And we find out that later there was another lineage who was a student of the grandmaster who moved out and then decided to create their own style, which has no relations to our system. This style, has its philosophy, what we call Wu Wei, which is the economy of motion, or Mo Wei in Cantonese, which would be applying things soft, but when you hit the external part of our body, you actually damage and cause bleeding internally. So that's what's the style is from. So it would be application into laogongs, into pressure points, to really cause damage and for self-defense purpose. Of course, we have to adapt in competitions because we have to be friendly and fair and comply with the rules. But for self-defense applications, we work with the five animals. When it comes about the five animals, is a 5-gate style, or is the 5 energy style. Through the 5 energy style, we became one system, one energy. From 5 energy, we become only one energy, which is the cat. So we say like cat space. You hear about the dog style, the Shaolin dog style. We hear about maybe some forms of frog forms. I even heard about crab as well, but I never heard about anything. And I've been doing so many researches about cat to actually understand, to see if there was any other traditional lineage that could make, see if we have any connections or anything, but I couldn't find. But when it comes about the 5 animals, because remember, we're not a Hongqian system, we don't have any of the Hongqian form, but we came from that because Sifu Sijo Li Wenhang, he connect his expertise in Hongqian with the Shiwu man and pretty much combine both to spread the system to his students. When we talk about the 5 elements, we work the dragons as a fire because it consumes the energy of your opponent. The tiger, because it's supposed to dominate the fight. The snake because you're supposed to redirect the movement. The crane because you're supposed to work with the Laogong points, so it's always pressure points. And the leopard because we practice what we call Magong, the energy comes in from the earth. And combining all this energy, so you have the cat fist. So you should be fast as the leopard. You should be light as the crane. You should be very technical as the snake, and powerful as the dragon and the tiger. So all these characteristics, we do have some hands, dragon hands, leopard hands, and stuff, but it all comes to the same outcome, to the cat fist. So that would be a brief explanation from what Shiwu Man is, what the cat fist would be.
Right, all right, and that is a thorough explanation what Shiwu Man is. It is the cat. I don't want to just reduce it down to saying the cat style, Maoyin Kid, right? But that's a very extensive history. So I find a lot of I won't say resemblance in terms of how it appears, but in terms of story to like certain haka styles, like for example Pak Mei, right?
Exactly.
He would not know about Pak Mei right now unless one or two disciples started teaching openly. Even with that, Pak Mei was still kept secretive amongst the Kung Fu community.
Exactly.
Right? So it seems to be the same type of thing with Shiwu Man until was it your grandmaster actually openly taught your Sifu, and then the cycle continues down onto you and then your student. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. That's a cool history right there. I wish I could have a history like that, but that's cool, right? That's cool.
Absolutely. Right, so it's beautiful how the martial arts, there's so many different traditional styles out there. Sometimes we didn't even realize. Recently, I would say maybe 2016, they came out, they find out, the iron ox, praying mantis, which we never heard about. And then we saw there was actually a village that they used to eat. It seems, I'm not sure about the history itself, but it seems they came from Chowgar. My apologize if I'm saying something wrong, but according to what I've read back in the days, and I love to read about different systems, different lineages, learning about, there are stories and systems out there. I recently saw a page in Belgium. There's a Haka buffalo style. I was like, wow, that's very impressive. It's traditional, and as you said, they kept in secrets, but years later, someone just decided to spread the word and then to become noticed. And now we take the privilege of social medias and the technology and the internet, because we can post things, we can say things, and we can actually make research of things that we didn't even realize, and it helps a lot into for our studies and knowledge as well.
So with that, Sifu, let's go ahead and take it into the second part of that question. Is Shiwu Man practical? Is it a good style for fighting?
Yes. So the most part of our system, it's working for self-defense. It's application for self-defense. So remember, my perspective of martial arts, we have two ways of practicing, competition-wise and for self-defense. In self-defense, it's something that you will never expect it, but you gotta be ready, because if you don't do like Bruce Lee said, practice every single part of your body, and when you may need it, then it's gonna be a problem, right? It's the same thing. It's no different than other style. Of course, each style has its particular thing and has your particular characteristics. You see, for example, Hun Kyun as Sifu the other day explained the combination between the 5 animals plus, but he emphasized a little bit more the tiger and the crane. But it's not just the tiger, the crane, but it's the Southern Shaolin emphasizing the 5 animals. It's the same thing of our system. So we do have its characteristics for self-defense. As I said, like we focus on Laogongs, we focus on pressure points. We do have a lot of throws, a lot of movements that I was explaining. I was seeing like long fist from the Saminjin movement study for so many years. And then when I started Shuai Jiao, I saw that it was not an uppercut. The long fist was not an uppercut. It was actually a throw. Like, wow. And then you see different movements for application. We have our material guide, which is like the form. We have 15 hand forms and 15 weapon forms, and you have to, as a martial artist, adapt according to your body perspective and according to what you believe. After a certain point, I tell my students, you have to stop practicing and studying. When I say studying, it's not just doing a movement and then recording yourself and knowing that muscle memory, you just repeat, but actually stop and watch and analyze every part of your body to see if that movement actually fits on your perspective for self-application. For example, in Sanda, we have jab, cross, hook, uppercut. I'm not a guy that uses a lot of uppercut, but doesn't mean that it's not applicable. That's not effective. It's there, but my fighting system, it's a little bit different. So the system is there. So we have a catalog of movements of applications, but we have to, as a martial artist, analyze movements, study, and see which one fits more on our perspective of self-defense.
All right. I like it. That mere fact that you are focused on pressure points. That's an aspect that a lot of other martial arts, especially nowadays, when they focus mostly on sport aspects as well. That's an aspect that they definitely don't touch on nowadays. Everybody's more punch, kick.
Exactly.
In Jamaica, we called martial arts back in the day kick-ups. That's how we refer to martial art film, kick-ups movies. So that's what martial arts usually boils down to nowadays. But of course, thanks to the advent of mixed martial arts back in the 90s, now the grappling aspect is a whole lot more prominent nowadays. So thank you very much, mixed martial arts. Thank you very much, UFC, for the concentration on that. So, third question. What, in your opinion, is the hardest part of developing Kung Fu?
In my opinion, the hardest part is internal work, because you can practice maybe an year, 2 years doing forms and learning movements, but when it comes about applying all the skills that your Sifu teaches you into your personal life to have different perspective and actually apply all those skills, resilience, be respectful, have honor, doing the right thing, integrity, you look to yourself, and those things comes with the education as well, the most of the time. But a lot of people, they they struggle fighting against themselves, because, as I'm saying, we have martial arts system nowadays. When you talk about martial arts, the system, the movements, the story, the history, the lineage takes centuries to be developed as a martial art, to create that martial arts. We see Wing Chun, for example, how many years? Probably maybe over 500, 400 years to develop and have Wing Chun what we have nowadays. There is a story that Xiong Hun Sing was the one who actually added the butterfly knives into the Wing Chun. I heard another story that Wong Wabo was the one who added the long pole, the dragon pole. And back in the days before them, there was just the three forms. And then Ip Man came out with the softness, instead of practicing hard, a little bit more soft movements, instead of working more the Wu Wei, the economy of motion. There's many different perspectives and point of views, and how stories and myths of how it was created and developed. But when we talk about self-work and we talk about living the Kung Fu life, it's actually applying in your personal life all the skills that you learn in class. If your Sifu, if he tells you to do some conditioning exercise, and then he pushes you to overcome your limit, you should also do the same in school, in your career, in your relationship, not in a physical way only, but also in an intellectual way, where you're gonna be improving your character, improving yourself, and learning how to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. Because sometimes we want to do things, we know the right way to do things is in a certain way that we don't want to do it, But when you look to yourself, like, you know what? Yeah, I gotta do what I gotta do. Depending, doesn't matter which situation it is. And I think this is the hardest part. It's internal work, and when I talk internal, it's not just qigong. It's not only about the qigong, because it's another level of martial art, another level of martial arts as well. But I would say more philosophical way instead.
Awesome. I agree completely, 100% with that answer. And that's a great answer at that, Sifu. Your wisdom is beyond your years. How old are you?
Sure, I'm 31. I'm turning 32 this year.
No, I don't believe that. No, you're a whole lot more 31 than I was. Trust me.
Thank you.
I'm impressed. So
Thank you very
let's
much.
go ahead and carry on, my friend. How has your martial arts training, your personal martial arts training, benefited your professional career?
So I would say Kung Fu. It doesn't matter actually if it's Kung Fu, Karate, or Jiu-Jitsu. Martial arts itself reflected to who you are. When you become a certain level, it doesn't matter if you're just a student, it is just a beginner, or a Sifu. Everybody watches you. So it's not that I wear my ifu and I go teach class or my uniform and then I take it out and I'm a different person. You have to be the same person 24 hours. Is different than, for example, if you work for an accounting, you go to your office, you do your computer job, you go home, doesn't matter what you do. Like, people, you look at you, okay, if you do something bad, you're still gonna look bad in front of other people. But when it comes about martial arts, it's a little bit worse because it's a lifestyle. And when you decided to leave that lifestyle and represent someone or institute or a lineage and honor your ancestors, and how you going to be representing them, you're going to be representing them with honor or with shame. And I always tell my students, there's a quote, I rather die with honor than leave with shame, because it influences everybody. You can influence, as a martial artist, we influence the people around us. If you're violent, people think, okay, so every Kung Fu master is violent. So if we are disrespectful, people are going to think, oh wow, so every Kung Fu master is disrespectful, because unfortunately people, there's many bad apples out there, but people, they generate things. So they think, they take their perspective from one person and they think that everybody from that community will be exactly the same, which it's not. You know, I met such great people, many different martial artists that I inspire myself, and I look to them. I was like, wow, you know what? I want to be like them. You know, I want to have the same knowledge. I want to have the same wisdom. And you watch Kung Fu movies, you always see that old guy that you don't give anything to him, but he fights like, you know, like a dragon, like someone very powerful with a lot of integrity, but at the same time, very humble guy, very knowledgeable. And you know, and I have Sifus like that, and I have Sifus, great Sifus, not because it's my Sifu, but again, I work my way up to actually go and pursue my dreams. And when you pursue your dreams, it reflects to your Kung Fu, because that's how you practice, that's how you look for things, that's how you search, that's how you have your resilience to go after and apply your martial arts into your professional world, such as school, such as courses, technical courses, or any dream or any financial desire. It's like fighting without fighting. And I think this is the most powerful thing, because when I'm talking about fight, it's not only avoiding fight, but fighting in a philosophical way, fighting to pursue and to succeed in life. That's what I'm talking about.
So it seems like you definitely would agree with the statement that martial arts training can definitely help you with the business side of life.
Yes, absolutely.
That's very good. That's very good. I see that. So, Sifu, we're going to continue with, if you could teach the new generation of martial artists only one thing, whether it be technique or philosophy, or you could tie in the two, what would it be?
I would say through movements we call people. That's how Bruce Lee was the inspiration. I would say maybe 80 to 90% of Kung Fu students. but movements are too superficial. I would say philosophy it's more important. The thing that I normally focus on my student since day one, it's seeking for enlightenment and inner peace. When it comes to enlightenment, not only spiritually, not preaching any kind of religion, but preaching how to find and how to know yourself better, how you going to develop through the techniques and have self-confidence on yourself, earning all the skills and actually being in balance with the environment. Again, being comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. For example, you see, you go in a place and, we're living in San Francisco, go to downtown, everything is really crazy, everything's going around. But, as a Kung Fu master from movies, you still keep your peace, you still, part of that, but that is not part of you. When I say that craziness is not inside of yourself. So what I'm saying is when you have not only the environment balanced in the same level, but other people's heart as well, when not letting the bad energy from, aggressiveness or any other bad energy inflict yourself, and avoiding any physical encounter as much as possible, then you get into the level where we call Wu Qi, which is be in harmony with the environment, where you don't let anything. So you have a shield around you, and you don't let things go into yourself, but you actually publish and you spread light, and you spread love, and you spread what's it called, good energy. And it's hard because a lot of the moments, sometimes, we are in America, so we were working sometimes 24/7. Sometimes, we wake up, you just go to work, and then you come back and you have to work. And we are stressed out with our things, and then a lot of things going around. And when you are able to manage that energy and actually be in peace and seek for enlightenment and look for the inner peace, and actually have that goal as your main goal, and you're going to strive. Of course, at the same time, you're still going to have good techniques. You still have to practice your taolus, your forms, your throws if it's Shuai Jiao. But your goal is actually far beyond, because I like to say that Kung Fu is a huge iceberg where the fighting perspective is just the tip. Everything else comes the history, comes the culture, comes the philosophy, the spiritual side of Kung Fu. And that's what I would say is the Kung Fu life. I remember just telling you a very short story. When I was living in Boston, there was this gentleman I was practicing in the park. He came to talk to me. He was like, "Oh man, you know what? I wanna practice Kung Fu." I was like, "Oh, okay, so, but why?" He was like, "Yeah, because I'm a gangster, and then I want to learn to protect myself." And then I was like, "Oh, okay, but I think it's better for you to look somewhere else, because I'm not going to be able to teach you what you want." Like, "Oh, why not?" I was like, "No, I think it's better for you to look somewhere else." And then every day that I was going to practice, he used to leave a couple blocks away. He saw me, he used to stay there and just watching. And after practicing, he approached, and then he started talking. And then it was months after one day, like I was always trying to, like, he was telling me a little bit of his story. I always give you the benefit of the doubt. He was telling me a little bit of him, his background, how he ended up, in that life. And I was trying to guide him, like, listen, this is not the best way. There's good paths out there. Trying to give him some advice. He was a little bit older than I. And then until one day I saw him different. He was like with a suit and a Bible in his mouth, in his hand. And then he sat down, was like, "Hey, how's it going?" He was like, it's been like, like maybe a month and a half, I haven't seen you. He was like, "Yeah, man, after our conversation, I actually decided to change my life. I don't want to leave that life anymore. I want to take care of my baby, go back with my girlfriend. I want to go to school. And I found Jesus. He changed my life." I was like, "Now you're ready to learn Kung Fu." And how you impact other people, how you actually, in a positive way, change other people's life, it's priceless. Because it's not just, changing in an athlete perspective of going to competitions and getting medals, but actually making people realize they can become a better person, and they can be the better version of them. And I was like, and then we became a very good friends, and I moved back to South Florida. A few years we lost contact, but that's a little bit of the story. And I think those kind of things are the most important things into martial arts.
Yes, once again, Sifu, we agree. We definitely
Exactly.
have been able to change somebody's life like that. You know, definitely,
Exactly.
definitely for the better at that. Right? So
Exactly.
we're going to take it to the next question, which is the
Sure.
last and possibly the hardest one, as I always say. How can you?
Well, I'm in different social medias. So starting on Instagram, you can find in the school, it's called Shiwumen USA. So it's ChiWumein USA. The website is shiwumenkungfu.com. TikTok is Sifu Lian Wei, which is my Chinese name, Lian Shen Wei, sorry. YouTube, I have two channels. I have a Portuguese channel for my Brazilian friends, and I have an American channel, which the American one is Tao of Sifu, and the Portuguese is Tao do Uda. And the Facebook, just business name Shiwumen Athletic Association. And anybody would be very welcome. Doesn't mean that if you just want to talk, if you don't want to learn Kung Fu, I'm a very friendly person. I love to talk, I love to learn from other people. And it's always good to have an open heart to receive learn different perspectives of life.
Information for Sifu Ronald Mesia will be in the description down below. Also in the description down below will be a link for FeiYue Shoes. If you need a pair of FeiYue shoes, click the link down below, get the best prices, get the best deals, all at FeiYue Shoes. Sifu Ronald Mesia. Thank you very much for the time you've spent with me. It has been an honor to meet you and speak with you and learn about Shiwumen.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It was a pleasure. It was an honor. And then, I would say that's a dream come true, being a fan of yours and of your channel, and now being your channel. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Hey, thank you very much for being here, sir. Thank you. We will talk again. Bye-bye now.
Absolutely. Thank you.